All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi's Stadium for the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little breakdown of everything that happened here in Santa Clara on a Monday. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out, so get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Claudaddy Arcades. Big thanks to Claudaddy Arcades for supporting the Krug Show and our travels. Claudaddy Arcades going to be sponsoring our trip to New Orleans, which we're fired up about. They got brand new locations in Capitola Mall and Visalia Mall. They're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. All right, today was the final practice before cutdown day. And it was a quick practice, 62-minute practice, probably one of the fastest practices of the year. The first thing I noticed when I walked into practice is that there were only two quarterbacks practicing, only Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, because today the Niners again waived Tanner Mordecai and Carter Bradley. I talked about this morning. They're only going with two quarterbacks on the final 53, and they're going to put Mordecai and Bradley through waivers. I don't think they're going to be claimed. We'll see. The Raiders just lost, Aiden O'Connell, so they could go back to Carter Bradley in theory, because Bradley was with the Raiders before, and they're looking for a backup quarterback. But I kind of think they're looking for more of a veteran, stopgap guy than Carter Bradley. Carter Bradley's a little bit more of a younger, developmental type quarterback. But the Niners waived Mordecai and Bradley. I would imagine they're going to re-sign one of them to the practice squad. My hope is it's Mordecai. My prediction is that it's Bradley. I don't think either will be poached off waivers by another team. Maybe the Niners should keep them both. You never can have enough good quarterbacks, and I know some Niner fans are like, Carter Bradley's not a good quarterback. I get you. But you can never have enough quarterbacks that know your system. And maybe you got 17 practice squad spots. Maybe you give a couple of them to quarterbacks, just a thought. So only Purdy and Jones were practicing today, and Jones also was kind of working out on the side. He's still kind of working back from the knee injury that he had. The Niners also announced, in addition to waiving Tanner Mordecai and Carter Bradley, they released my good buddy Keyshawn Vaughn. So goodbye, Keyshawn. Love you, Key. Hopefully he'll be back at some point. He's kind of in that tough spot where he's probably going to have to either play some kind of secondary league, or he's just going to be kind of destined to have a career of practice squad appearances. But I really do like Keyshawn Vaughn. He's a great dude, great guy to talk to, and we wish him the best. The Niners also waived defensive tackle Shaquille Brown, and they also waived defensive end Jalen Allen. So those guys will both get on to their next opportunity. And offensive tackle Isaiah Prince got hurt in the game Saturday night, and he's been put on IR. So his season most likely comes to an end. What did we see today at practice? Well, Brandon Ayuk was not practicing, of course, but he did kind of test his knee with a couple of sprints and some one cuts. Ayuk was out there kind of doing what the other guys were doing, but just against air. Sky Moore was, I thought looked pretty athletic. He was out there plucking the ball with his hands. He shows real natural hands. I'll say that about Sky Moore. He's got real natural hands. You can kind of see it, that he's got this great natural ability to pluck the ball with his hands. He's got huge hands too, 10.5-inch hands, some of the bigger hands in the league. CJ West, Mykel Williams, and Ben Bartch all returned to practice today. West, of course, had a hyperextended knee, as did Mykel Williams. Bartch, I forget Bartch's, I think might be working with on an elbow injury for Bartch, but they all returned to practice today. The final practice, as I said, of the year before the cutdown. So, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, every team in the league has to be pared down from their 90-man camp roster to 53 men, and it's going to be a challenge for the 49ers to get down to the 53. The great Matt Barrows is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Great respect for the great Matt Barrows. Check him out in The Athletic. As far as practice today, we got our first look at Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson was running the rock, and he looks good. I mean, he runs upright, he looks good. There was one CMC run where Tatum Bethune came firing up like he was going to hit CMC and spilled it to the outside. Tatum Bethune looks healthy. Demo Lenore had a beautiful PBU in the red zone on a touchdown pass. He knocked it away. Really nice play there. We saw Purdy hook up, a couple of times. Really, Purdy, we saw hook up with Kittle, CMC, Sky Moore, Pearsall. The Niners defense today, and not just today, really for the last week or so, has been, practicing a little bit of a five-man front. I would expect that, if Seattle starts to run the ball effectively in week 1 against the Niners, they are going to go to their five-man front with 3 down defensive linemen and that five-man surface. It just gives them a bigger, better run defense than they would have normally. And we've seen them, practice that five-man front throughout the last couple weeks, where you got 3 down linemen, and it just makes it very hard to run. So Seattle has put an emphasis on they want to run the ball, and so the Niners look like they're practicing a five-man front just in case. As far as Upton Stout, there was some concern about Upton Stout and his ability to make the roster. Just based on what I saw today, he was running full 100% sprints on the side field. Now, if it's a calf that could be an Achilles, I don't know what to say about it, because he looked really explosive and fast. There was no Jawan Jennings sighting today. We didn't get a chance to talk to Kyle Shanahan after practice. There is no new news on him. But yeah, once again, short practice. Demo Lenore had the key PBU of the practice. In the move the ball drill, we saw Purdy hit Kittle a couple times. He hit CMC on a little slant. And then after practice, we had a chance to talk to Brian Robinson for the first time. And, Robinson made an interesting point. He's like, look, people were asking him, hey, you're here to back up CMC and this and that. And he's like, I ain't here to back up nobody. Now, he didn't say that, but he's like, I'm here to compete. He's like, nothing against anybody, but I got a lot of confidence. This guy's got a starter's mentality, which I love, because that means he expects to be the bell cow. He expects to get the ball. Now, on this team, obviously, there's Christian McCaffrey, and you're going to have to share the ball with him. But, he basically just said it. He's like, I'm happy to be here, but I don't defer to anybody. I'm here to compete. I'm here to compete. I'm a competitor. I want to be out there. He didn't say I want all the carries or anything and screw CMC. I mean, it's nothing like that. But he said, man, he's like, I'm plug and play. In other words, I'm ready to roll. I'm in shape. I'm ready to roll. Now, Mayoko asked him what went wrong in Washington, because he is coming off his career year and they said goodbye to him. And he just was like, I really don't know. But the bottom line is, I think Washington was just looking at a situation where he's a proud veteran. He's in his walk year. He's a free agent at the end of the year. They wanted to give the ball to Austin Eckler and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. They've got other guys that they wanted to get the ball to, and they didn't want it to be the Brian Robinson show. And I'm sure they just didn't want him to be a distraction. Hey, he's going to be unhappy. We're going to use Eckler. We're going to use these other guys. We want to use Krosky-Merritt. So they got him out of there. They got him out of there because they didn't want him to be a distraction. So, but he's like, hey man, I'm ready to roll. I'm not here to back up. I'm plug and play. I asked him, do you know anybody on this team? He's like, I don't know any of the coaches. He goes, I know Mac Jones from Alabama, and he said, I know William Bradley King. He was with the Commanders for a while. So that was kind of interesting. And then we had a chance to talk to Renardo Green. And I love Renardo Green, man. Renardo Green is a serious young man. And when I say that, I just mean he is serious. He's not joking around and playing a bunch of grab ass. He is serious. He shows up with a purpose. I love this guy. He's a serious young man. I asked him, because at Florida State, he played safety in 2020 and 2021. And then he came back. Immediately, they put him back at corner and he was all conference. And I asked him, I said, did playing safety at Florida State in those early days make you a smarter player? And he's like, yeah. He's like, seeing the game from two different angles made me a smarter, better player. Thought that was interesting. He played a lot of safety in 2020, the COVID year, and 2021. I mean, Bernardo Green is kind of known in the SEC as the guy who shut down Malik Neighbors and shut down Brian Thomas Jr. and that duo from LSU. I asked him about Upton Stout, and he's like, man, he's a dog. That's my guy. I love that guy. So he loves Upton Stout. And then he was asked about Robert Saleh, and he said, Saleh really helped me with my eyes. And that just means, your eyes have to be in the right place at the right time if you're playing pass coverage. And so much of that is learned. And that's where great coaching comes into the mix. So there you go. The full recap on a very brief day here in Santa Clara. Now join me tonight for Niners Nightly on KMBR from 6 until 7. The great Jordan Elliott is going to stop by, and we'll chop it up with Jordan Elliott. So check me out tonight on the radio at 6 o'clock. And thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to Claudaddy Arcades for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.